Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about former Trump Organization controller Jeff McConney's testimony in the civil fraud trial. Remember that I had predicted, patting myself on the back, that we would have some fairly uneventful experts saying things but not rebutting the actual charge of false estimations, but that McConney who was coming up might prove to be a somewhat dramatic witness, and sure enough, he was. So he was the controller for many years, and that he's basically number two to Weisselberg. So first point is, and he's a defendant in the case, importantly. That also means, by the way, that other defendants can cross-examine him. So Trump's lawyers could ask him questions as well as his lawyer ask him questions on direct. So his basic defense and stance, same as everyone. Look here, look there, anywhere but me, the accountant did it. But that was a particularly weak defense on his part, and he was caught in a series of damaging admissions. So first he said, it's all the accountant, and he said they could come in here anytime and ask for whatever information they wanted. Big whoop. What's that got to do with what they did and whether the estimations that you forwarded to them were false? But more importantly, he was, he, after saying it's just all them, all the accountants who did it, he's confronted with different sort of personal financial statement drafts of Trump with his handwritten notes all over them. And so, it's quite clear that he's got input and reviews them. At one point, he actually has to concede that he had just given incorrect testimony, ouch. So he really, the documents really hurt him. And they also hurt Eric Trump, among others, because in his notes, he's got notes saying Eric Trump, who recall had in some ways the bigger operational day-to-day authority within the organization when Trump was president, whereas Junior was more the the big vision guy. McConney is writing that Eric Trump needs to review the footnotes for a particular section. And in another, he says Eric Trump and yes, Donald Trump should review the statements. And then he is forced to say, I had, a little bit of input, himself. So point one, he tries to cop to the same accountants did it. And point two, the cross and the documents were really very powerful against him. And then point three, and all the headlines. He had a very emotional reaction on the stand when he was asked why he had finally left the company after 35 years. And he broke into tears, apparently threw his arms up and said, I just couldn't do it anymore. And don't get me wrong, he wasn't saying I couldn't keep lying. He said, I just couldn't handle all the accusations. I just wanted to relax and stop being accused of misrepresenting assets for the company that I loved working for. By the way, this is under questioning from the Trump lawyer. Why did you leave the Trump organization? That is an issue here, incidentally, because he leaves, he gets a severance package, and guess what? It hasn't been fully paid. So in other words, the Trump organization has, $125,000 they haven't paid him back yet. And that's just, certainly some evidence of bias. He doesn't want to, give testimony that could prejudice that 125,000, or that would be the issue. But they asked why he left. And, they probably knew what he was going to say, but maybe not the emotional part of it, so because he's, bleeding Trump blue or whatever the color would be of Trump's blood when he's saying it. What a great company. I was so proud of myself. But he was, the stress and pressure of being on the Trump financial team these years and involved, being accused left and right, made him break down on the stand. So that was a fairly dramatic moment. I think we return now to dry testimony from experts who most importantly will do little or nothing. At least that's what it's been so far. And I'm looking for the actual expert who would stake her or his expert reputation getting on the stand and calling these false statements. What's false is true. Very hard to see. So it would be more along the lines of, oh, things are loosey goosey, or you never know, etc., which has zero to do with the clear and clean question right at the center. And I'm sure that's where Justice Engoron is going to when he writes, which is, did he make false valuations? And so McConney's testimony, besides the breakdown, pins things more on both Trump and Eric in particular. And recall that while Engoron has already held summary judgment against Trump on fraud, the other counts of false statements and insurance fraud do rest on knowledge, etc. So details like McConney's basically having to fess up. Yeah, that was me writing that Donald Trump, Eric Trump should review. Those can be important testimony for going to Trump and Eric's intent when Engoron writes. So there you have it, an emotional interlude by a guy who's been on the hot seat along with Weisselberg forever. That's what you get when you work for Donald Trump. Has now left the company, and so there's still waiting for some of his money. Another pretty bad day, even though this is on defense for Donald Trump and gang. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.